Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla and let's go over really the market and figure out what to expect. Pretty big week, a lot of tech reporting, Apple, Amazon, etc. And of course, we have FOMC as well later in the week. So pretty spicy week ahead of us. But all that being said and done, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section is live. The link is down below in the description of the video. At the top of it, you can access to it for $3 a month on YouTube, of course. So definitely check it out if you're interested, right? I constantly share my posts, updates, technical analysis updates, options flow on Tesla every day. So definitely check it out if you're interested. But moving into it, Tesla closing the day up a beautiful 5.6%, closing at $232 per share, which compared to the market is a pretty damn nice outperformance. Now, what does this mean moving forward and what can we expect moving forward in a pretty spicy week? So let's talk about it. Let's go over to the 1 hour chart and start off here really quickly first, right? So I deleted the bottom line, but you know how on last week we had this line all the way pretty much around down here, right? Saying how, we're in this little congestion period, right? It really just comes down to which level breaks first. Obviously this morning we ended up breaking right above the level that can't even speak, the top level that I've been mentioning, which is about 226, right? We talked about that 226 and pretty much 215 roughly. Those are the two levels to break, right? And we said if we break 226, we'll probably go about to the, can't even speak, to about the mid 230s. Whenever I'm saying 2 as in like TO and then 2 as in TWO constantly, it's like kind of confusing and a tongue twister. Anyway, right? And that's exactly what we did, right? We ended up going right to that level, which is really nice to see, right? Now, the question, of course, is, okay, well, we're pretty much there. What to expect? Well, this is where things get a little bit interesting. So on the daily, you can see a better picture of it, right? Because we have, still that bull flag in play over here and whatnot. So it's, everything is, dandy, right? Everything is great to go, no issues whatsoever. But we are at a potential resistance point, though. That is a bit of a concern. There's a few things here that are making me think that this could be a pretty massive resistance. Number one, this kind of 235, we'll say, area, just natural resistance, right? It acted as support back here. Now in theory, it should act as a resistance. You can see if I go all the way back here, a lot of congestion around this general area as well. So, this general mid 230s-ish level, I do expect to be as potential supply, right, at the very moment. So that's number one. Number two, it's obviously the top of the bull flag channel, right? Naturally, that's a potential resistance zone, right? Until we actually get a confirmed breakout. So until then, it is technically a resistance. That's a little bit of a concern as well. So you want to be looking at those things, right? On top of that, if I go over here, you can see on Black Box, which is a very good options flow program software, if you're interested, link down below with the discounts. There's a bit of a concern here. And a bit of concern here is the fact that over here, a lot of dark pool today, but the main one I really kind of caught my eye is this one right here, right? It happened about just past 1 p.m. today. 248 million in a block of a dark pool order. The price was at 238.88 when this occurred, right? Clearly, that has been acting as a, resistance now. Every time we come up anywhere, relatively close to that 233.8 level, we're getting smacked back down. So as of right now, we can assume this was a sell, right? We can assume this was a very, very large sell on the dark pool, right? So that's a little bit of a concern, right? That, when you get these kind of situations happen, that's usually, a potential resistance zone, right? That could be a potential resistance zone. So that's, another reason why I think this area could be a resistance, right? So there's a few, issues, if you will, in terms of that, right? But I will say, if you want to be actually safe about it, right, there is potential that this is a bit of a, let me go ahead and draw like this, I guess, right? I have it on the 15-minute chart as well, but you can also argue the fact that we're in a bit of a rising triangle here, right? You can kind of make an argument that it looks something like this. So this is a pretty good sign. I mean, this is technically a bullish pattern, right? So there is a chance that this does break out and we do move even higher. And we do move to about 240. That is a very real possibility. So you kind of want to wait for this pattern to really show its legs once again, right? Kind of like how we did over here. Remember we talked about how we're just kind of going sideways and you want to wait for one of these two levels to break. We finally broke and then we obviously had a beautiful rally, to continue off of it. Same idea here, right? Same idea. You don't guess it. I mean, this is technically a bullish pattern. It technically has a higher chance of playing out to the top side, but there are some caveats like the dark pool order, right? Like for instance, the top of this bull flag or descending channel, right? It's kind of mid 230s range just being a resistance in general, a horizontal resistance in general. So there are some concerning signs in that sense. But again, if you want to be, safe about it, I guess, you wait for this pattern to play out. Wait for this pattern to play out. Let it, if we pretty much go above, in my opinion, really like 233/234, that's going to be most likely a bullish play out. If we ever drop below one of these levels here, pretty much really below like 230-ish, we did actually drop below 230 over here, but on the 15-minute chart, and it did show some potential bearishness, right? Because initially the pattern kind of looked something like this. So there is a concern here, right? There's still a concern that we're still just pretty much coming back up to just retest this breakdown that we had all the way over here. This is a potential concern as well. So there's a lot of concerns here, especially going into a pretty volatile week, which is why I'm I sold when we initially pumped, then I actually bought back in almost almost actually took the bottom. I was very happy with that. And then as I saw this double top, potentially I did sell once again. So I'm happy with my trades, but I'm going in very light right now. I'm just waiting for this to play out. I'm waiting for this to show me the direction it wants to go. There's no reason to guess it. And that's kind of the way I'm playing it, right? Now, let's focus a bit more on the bullishness, right? So there are obviously some bullishness here. It's not all bearishness, right? For instance, if we go over here and we bring out the 50-day moving average and we bring out the 200-day moving average right here like this, plain and simple, you're going to see if I zoom in over here, and it's not showing it because, give me a second. Let me go ahead and do this. Boom, right? What do we see here? What do we see here? We see this bottom line over here crossing this green line, right? What essentially is happening here is the fact that the 50-day moving average is officially crossing that 200-day moving average, which is considered a golden cross, right? It's a bullish crossover, right? It's showing that the momentum has officially slowed down, or not slowed down, stopped to the downside, and that the bulls and the momentum to the upside is starting to gain some steam. And this is a lagging indicator. I want to make that very clear. Just because we cross right here, right now, it doesn't mean we have to start rocketing tomorrow. Absolutely not. It is a lagging indicator, but a good indicator nonetheless, an indicator that does show that Tesla is starting to get back into that bullish sentiment, which is a good sign long term, even medium term, even like several months out, right? But again, it's a slow indicator, kind of like when the MACD or the RSI shows you signals. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow on the daily chart, especially. It's a lagging indicator, but it's still a very good sign, looking well into the future, if you will, right? Several months potentially as well. So it's a good sign. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good sign, but again, it doesn't mean we have to rock it literally tomorrow. Just keep that in mind. I'm trying to keep your expectations in check, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? So that's, important to understand there. Now, what do I see moving forward? Again, if we break above this bull flag, right, pretty much, okay, to make it simple, if we break out of this bull flag, which is pretty much going to be a break of about 237-ish roughly overall, right? This will break out of the bull flag. This will break above this resistance point right here. I think that'll be very bullish. I think at the very least we come up to about 245 to 250 roughly. If we break above that, I think we come up all the way back up to about 265. A break and close above that should bring us $280 per share. Those are the levels, step by step. Break one level, go to the next level. Break one level, go to the next level. Pretty simple stuff. Now, the flip side though, right? If we start losing certain levels, that's going to be really, really bad. For instance, right? If we start, as long as we're below 233 and especially below that 237-ish range, this could still be a bull trap, right? This absolutely could be a bull trap, and we can still potentially make our way back down. Why? Well, because, we're in this bull flag, which is essentially also a downward channel. But what happens when you're in a downward channel? You go downwards, right? Until, of course, a trend changes within this downward channel. We haven't broken out yet, so technically the move next, in theory, should be, well, back to the downside until proven otherwise, right? So keep that in mind, right? If we lose, if we don't break above this, and if we especially lose this green line, trend line right here that I just drew, right? Maybe tomorrow, probably. Most likely we come back down even closer to about 225. We never really touched it this morning. We went to 227, never actually really came back and retested 225, 226. Could be a potential move back down there. If we lose that level, if we go below 225, 226, and we start closing candles, especially 1 hour candles back below, that's going to be potentially pretty bearish. What happens next? Well, most likely we head down to the next level. What's the next level? Pretty much all the way back down here at about 215. That's going to be the next level. What happens if we lose that level? We most likely head our way back down to about 205 to about $200 per share, right? It's just that simple. Level by level, break by break. You break one level, you go to the next level. You break one level, you go to the next level. It's really that simple sometimes, right? Nobody needs to overcomplicate it too much with a billion indicators and everything like that, right? That's just kind of the easiest way to look at it. I have all these indicators that should show me momentum, right? All four of these indicators, you can argue it's a lot of indicators, but I don't really look at them too crazy. I look at them just momentum. It's just really momentum, right? And right now the momentum on the 1 hour chart, you can see here, we talked about how, everything was looking good. Remember yesterday, or not yesterday, on Friday or Thursday or both, we talked about how, yeah, the 1 hour indicators are looking pretty bullish, right? They're looking like there is some promise here, right? We can potentially move up even higher. That's exactly what happened. But now, for instance, the stochastic, well, it's showing that we're kind of entering some overbought territories. Every time the 1 hour enters this level, we get a bit of a potential small cool off. And that could be what brings us back down to 225 potentially, right? That is a possibility. So we'll see if that's the case or not. But 1 hour getting a little bit overextended on the stochastic. So potentially a bit of a concerning sign here. Moving back to the daily on the stochastic, however, you can see we're getting pretty close to a crossover. Not there just yet, and technically this green coming up to the red could just act as a resistance before we actually truly cross over. But if this stochastic on the daily ever does cross over, so this green crosses the red, that to me is going to be a pretty bullish sentiment change. And I think that, will start indicating to me that Tesla's getting ready to finally break out of this bull flag and really start making its way higher, ultimately to those levels I mentioned earlier. That's going to be important to understand as well. And that's kind of that's the way I look at it. It's really just that simple. I try not to overcomplicate it too much, right? And that's what I'm looking for. Now, obviously today's volume, pretty damn good volume. We ended up finally spiking in volume as well, higher than the last 2 days of volume while we were essentially consolidating, which is a nice sign to see. Tells me that this move up potentially is not really a false move, right? This could be a pretty bullish move. But again, I'm personally right now, I took some trades, I made some, good money, and I'm kind of chilling. I'm relaxing. I'm waiting. I'm letting the levels dictate it for me, especially considering, honestly, not especially, primarily considering we're entering a very volatile week, especially with FOMC, with the rate cut and whatnot. Who knows how the market's going to react to it? But I'm going to be nimble. I'm going to let the price decide for me. I'll let the levels decide for me, and I'll re-enter $1 or $2 higher than I sold for a further, bullish confirmation. I'm perfectly okay with that, and that's just the way I like to do it. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at right now. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting anything. I can double check maybe what I told my members today. Don't know if I'm forgetting anything too crazy here. I think that's about it. We have, of course, my favorite, bands, right? The bands right here, you can see another potential resistance point is the fact that the bands, if we come back to the mean, if you will, of the bands, that's pretty much sitting also around that 237-ish level. So that's a little bit, potential resistance level there as well, right? Currently, the 1 hour did enter extreme overbought territories. Obviously, we sold off from that. Now we're still sitting in pretty damn overbought territories in the 1 hour chart. So if we do come back down, if we do fall back down as the stochastic is potentially looking to cross bearish, not yet though, but it is starting to enter territory where it usually tops out, right? If it does cross bearish and the 1 hour does kind of, lose steam and we do come back down to about this 225, 226-ish range, that'll also reset that 1 hour chart. That 1 hour chart will be reset on the bands. It'll come right back down to this white line, which would be a good sign. And that'll be, in my opinion, a pretty damn good place to potentially accumulate shares once again, assuming we, of course, hold that general level. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, ladies and gentlemen. So all that being said and done, let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.